So I'm a big fan of mock drafts. If you've been around here for any period of time, you probably know that. I think that the real intent of mock drafts, their real versatility, is in the fact that they are not precise, but that they allow for the game theory of the draft to play out. And you sort of get to get used to different ideas. You get to sort of game plan and find your way about different things. All of that said, we have here a 7-round mock draft from PFF that I hope is not the way that things go, because it is, in my opinion, well, it's certainly incomplete, and we'll get to that, but I think it's also fairly lazy. And we will get to that. This video will come equipped, by the way, with an apology from none other than your favorite neighborhood scrambling armchair if I have done something in the past. So, in an article titled Kansas City Chiefs 7-round mock draft, Chiefs fortify the offensive line, we get the following explanation for this, hopefully, faulty mock draft. The Kansas City Chiefs offensive line will be under the microscope this offseason after their 40-22 Super Bowl loss to the Eagles, in which quarterback Patrick Mahomes was under relentless pressure. The unit required patchwork solutions in 2024, which will come back in this draft, in this mock draft. And those shortcomings were fully exposed on the game's biggest stage, with 32-year-old Joe Thuney having to shift to left tackle down the stretch and Jawan Taylor struggling at right tackle. Major questions remain. Former second-round pick Kingsley Suamataia is waiting in the wings, but it's unclear whether his best fit is at tackle or guard. The Chiefs also have work to do in the trenches on defense, with 7 defensive linemen set to hit free agency. Given their limited cap space and just 6 draft picks, Kansas City must maximize its resources to remain in Super Bowl contention. So who do the Kansas City Chiefs pick at 31 in this draft? Well, none other than Donovan Jackson, Ohio State's very own Joe Thuney. The Chiefs have several needs along the offensive line, and Jackson's late season play at left tackle suggests he could be a long-term solution at multiple positions. After spending most of his college career at left guard, he took over at left tackle in Week 9 of 2024 and thrived. In Ohio State's 4 playoff games, he didn't allow a single sack or quarterback hit. Having him listed on Draft Buzz at 6'4", 315 with 9 7/8 inch hands, 33.5 inch arms, and a 5.20 40-yard dash. We have his pro day numbers. He's actually 6'3.5". 317 pounds, 10 1/8 inch arms, 34.5 inch arm, or 10 1/8 inch hands, 34.5 inch arms, 32 bench reps. So, here's where the apology comes into play. Donovan Jackson and Josh Simmons are players for whom their names get confused in my mind because they both played left tackle for Ohio State, and I apologize if at some point I had mentioned Donovan Jackson as a first-round pick. I had certainly meant Josh Simmons. I do not think Donovan Jackson is a first-round pick. I do not understand this pick. The Kansas City Chiefs already have lots of maybe left tackles. This is a maybe left tackle. I think he does have very good upside at guard. I don't know why the Kansas City Chiefs would want a guard at 31. Most places that I look, so you see here, PFF themselves have him ranked at 67th overall. Now, I know that the big board is a metric used for the website as a whole. This mock draft was done by an individual. I'm not buying it, guys. If Donovan Jackson is the pick in the first round, I think something has gone horribly wrong. Round 2, pick 64. Deone Walker out of Kentucky. You know my feelings on Deone Walker if you have been here for the past couple of weeks. Walker arrived at the Senior Bowl as a towering 6'7", 340-pound force and immediately showcased his natural power. While he's built to dominate against the run, he's also proved to be effective as a pass rusher at Kentucky, generating 23 total pressures with a 10.9% pass rush win rate. I don't think that will translate to the NFL. He is simply overpowering college interior offensive linemen. Now, he was doing it at the SEC level, so maybe it translates to the NFL. I don't see it, though. 6'7", 331 pounds, wingspan of 84.5 inches, 34.5-inch arms, 10 5/8-inch hands, 5'8", 40-yard dash at the pro day, 25-inch vertical leap at the combine. I don't know why he even went and did those numbers. Doesn't matter. He is a massive defensive tackle. Walker would be a game changer for the Kansas City Chiefs immediately. The second round might be rich for Walker, but his tools do suggest that he will be overdrafted. You can't necessarily wait for a guy that's 6'7", 330 pounds, because someone is going to want that athlete. This happens all the time in the NFL. And it's one of the things that I don't think we've quite seen Brett Veach fall victim to. We've seen Brett Veach overdraft players at positions of need. Nick Bolton and Creed Humphrey were probably third-round guys, but you knew that they could come in and start for your team immediately. So he overdrafted those players, got them in his system. They're both on second contracts now. And it has worked out for the Chiefs, despite the fact that maybe they could have waited or traded back and still gotten those players. Deone Walker is probably that same type of deal. You're going to have to overdraft him, not because of your position of need. The Chiefs overdrafted Nick Bolton and Creed Humphrey because they would plug and play immediately on their team. Probably a lot of the NFL they would have played. Deone Walker, you have to overdraft because Deone Walkers start everywhere in the NFL, even if they're not the highest end immediate performers, if that makes any sense. Round 3, pick 66, tight end Mason Taylor out of LSU. Taylor totaled 599 receiving yards in 2024, with 100 yards coming after the catch. He also proved reliable in tight coverage, securing 9 of 17 contested targets. Listed by Draft Buzz as 6'5", 251, 10-inch hands, 32.5-inch arms, and a 4.64 40-yard dash that is an other, meaning that it was not timed anywhere. At his pro day, he ran a 4.65 40 with 28 reps. He's not a solid blocker. He's not as promising a receiver, in my opinion, as either Jared Wiley or Noah Gray. I don't know at pick 66 why the Chiefs would make this pick if you have two tight ends on your roster that are better receivers. Now, maybe they don't agree with me, but better receivers than this guy, and probably not a drop-off at blocking either. So, I mean, Jared Wiley's 249. I believe Noah Gray's a little bit lighter, but Noah Gray has crafted himself into a pretty decent blocker. So I don't understand this pick at all. So far, we are 1 for 3, in my opinion. Then we get round 3, pick 96, offensive lineman Jaylen Rivers out of Miami. Rivers battled injuries throughout his college career, but ended 2024 in lockdown mode. Over his final 6 games for the Hurricanes, he allowed just 1 sack and 4 total pressures. Listed by Draft Buzz at 6'6", 319 with 10-inch hands, 34 7/8-inch arms, a 5.29 40-yard dash run at the combine, and a 108-inch broad jump. I think that Rivers has a solid chance at becoming a starting offensive lineman in the NFL. Maybe not his first season. I think that his ceiling is left tackle. I think that he could be a starting left tackle. I would not be necessarily upset with this pick at 96. I think he is a top 100 talent in this draft. If you've already got one maybe left tackle in this draft class, taking another maybe left tackle while you have 3 or 4 maybe left tackles on the roster is confusing. Many think that he can play interior. I've said before a couple times, I don't think that's true. I don't think he has the bend to play interior in the NFL. Round 4, pick 132, edge Kaimon Rucker out of North Carolina. Rucker endured a tough 2024 season, missing a month with a knee injury. You're seeing a common theme here. Before a cracked fibula against North Carolina State ended his college career early. However, he has the tools to be an excellent situational pass rusher at the next level. In 2023, he racked up 64 total pressures with an impressive 19.4% pass rush win rate. If you are not familiar with Kaimon Rucker, 6'1" or 6'2", he's listed at both different places. 254 pounds or 265 pounds. He's listed at both different places. If he's 6'1", that's really an issue. With 32 and 5/8 inch arms, that's really an issue. He's an interesting athlete, but he did not test at his pro day either. If you didn't have anything to hide and you were Kaimon Rucker, I think you would test at your pro day because you know as well as everyone else that you were undersized. So, if you were going to run even a decent 40-yard dash, it made sense to do so. He did not. I think his best fit is probably outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense. I don't like this pick. Not for the Kansas City Chiefs. He did do 27 reps on the bench press, so he is a solidly built athlete. I just don't like this for the Chiefs and the defense that they run. I don't see anything here for the Chiefs. I just don't. And finally, I say finally because though the Chiefs have 3 7th-round picks, there is only one here. I am assuming there is an issue with the dating. I just got the update for this mock draft. I'm assuming that it's a little bit older, but round 7, pick 227, linebacker Karene Reid out of Utah. Over 415 run defense snaps in the past 2 seasons, Reid missed just 4 total tackles, with only 1 coming in 2024, highlighting his reliability as a sure tackler. Listed at 6 foot tall, 231 pounds, 31 and 3/4 inch arms, a 4.75 40-yard dash, and he did not run at his pro day. Again, I don't know. He does not look particularly fast on film. If you did run a fast 40, it would have made sense to do so. 17 bench press reps at the pro day. I think he probably offers a decent value in the 7th round. You're looking at a football player more than you were looking at an athlete. History tells us Brett Veach is much more likely to pick up a linebacker in the UDFA market. So I think that is probably what he would do here. This is a linebacker who is fairly aggressive with decent pursuit, though at times he does over-pursue, who I do not think has starting potential, but could probably fill in a pinch. He's probably a core special teamer, but the Chiefs have a whole lot of core special teams type guys, so why draft one? You are at this point in the draft probably, if there's no one there that fills a need, you're probably rolling the dice on big potential players. You're rolling the dice on a guy who has good testing numbers. You're rolling the dice on a guy who has a lot of tools. You're rolling the dice on a guy who was ultra productive at the college level as a football player, but might not have all the necessary sort of measurements, etc., to really rise up draft boards. I don't think this player is any of those things. So Brett Veach's history tells us that if he did have his eyes on this player, he would wait until the draft was over, and if that player was still available, he would get him that way. But, I mean, the Chiefs have 5 of these guys on the roster right now. I don't see the utility for this pick. This would be an upsetting draft. So one of the tones, I guess I should say, that I take predominantly on this channel is to try to understand the pick as it happens. If Brett Veach takes, so for example, FAU, I made a video saying I don't understand this pick. But if Brett Veach, and I was to this point, proven kind of right. But if Brett Veach thinks that FAU is the prettiest girl in the whole darn holler, well, I don't say that it's my job to defend it, but it's my job, in my opinion, to try to understand it. So when I make those videos of picks that I don't understand, I try to see what it was that Brett Veach was seeing there, what the Chiefs front office, Andy Reid, Brett Veach, etc., were seeing at that point. I would have a hard time defending this draft if this were the case. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week, and I hope to have you back for the next one.